Mike Norvell and Florida State have proven themselves to be the portal kings through the last couple of off seasons. And fans want to know now, well, why haven't the Noles gotten anybody out of the portal just yet? It is a week and a half into the portal window being open, and fans are certainly getting restless. Now, last year, if you'll remember, Florida State got their first portal edition really the first week that the portal was open. There was a lot of chatter about Darrell Jackson. He obviously ended up signing with the Noles pretty early, or committing to the Noles pretty early, enrolled in January. And then they didn't get their next edition until right about this time, this middle or end of the second week. That was Jaheim Bell. The Darrell Jackson situation was very, very specific. I think that one even happened earlier than most people expected, just due to his mom's circumstances, the family situation, him being close to home. It was a more expedited recruitment. But Florida State fans were certainly expecting the portal to open and the floodgates to have kids committing to FSU just immediately. But we're still kind of right in line with where we were last year. Again, that Jaheim Bell commitment came around this time, and Florida State is hosting several kids on visits this upcoming weekend. No greater position is being looked at this year through the portal than quarterback. We understand that Tate played the UF game and the end of the North Alabama game, and then obviously Brock played the ACC championship. But I do think Florida State is very much obviously in the market for a quarterback, because I don't know that there's a confidence that Tate is going to be able to get you to where you think you could go in 2024. Now, do I think the Noles compete for a national championship in 2024? Honestly, at this point, probably not. We'll see what the portal additions look like. We'll see how guys develop in the spring and in the fall. But do I think the Noles could certainly compete for the 12-team playoff? Well, as long as ESPN, Kirk Herbstreit, and the College Football Playoff Committee don't screw us again. Now, this video's not about that, so I'll move on. I think the Noles, with the right additions, could certainly compete for that top 12 area. Could the Noles compete for the ACC again, getting an automatic bid to the playoff? Absolutely. I think that that's well within reach. Clemson will be good again next year. I get it. I think that there are other teams like Louisville and others who will be good as well. Miami may compete, but the Noles should be right there and should have every chance to get where they want to get to. Is Tate the guy that can lead you there? I'm not confident in that. And I appreciate Tate, and I respect what he did against North Alabama and beating Florida. I think it stinks that he wasn't able to play in that Louisville game, but I don't know that he's the quarterback that's going to go out and win you 10 or 11 games next year. Could one of the two guys that they seem to be looking at be that guy for the Seminoles? Well, I think so. You look at Cam Ward. He's the number 2 overall prospect in the On3 transfer portal rankings. He's the number 1 quarterback. And then you look at DJ Uyunglele, number 28 overall, number 9 as far as quarterbacks go in the On3 rankings. Cam Ward's stats are really good. He threw 485 times last year, completed 2/3 of his passes for 3,700 yards. He had 25 touchdowns to just 7 picks, had 8 touchdowns on the ground. DJU only threw the ball 315 times. He completed 57% of his passes, so he was 9% lower, and he threw for about 1,100 yards less than Cam did. A little bit worse touchdown to interception ratio, only 21-7. He, as well, had plenty of rushes and got in the end zone 6 times. When I look at these two quarterbacks, my first thought is, hey, I think Cam's a little bit better of a passer. I think DJ's probably a little bit more physical, more durable of a runner in the type of offense that Mike Norvell likes to run. I also think that both of these guys would see a very healthy upgrade in weapons that they have in Tallahassee over both Washington State and Oregon State, where they both transferred in from. It feels very much like Cam Ward is their first pick, and it sounds to me like if they were able to get the commitment from Cam Ward, they would obviously move on from DJ. I don't believe they bring in 2 quarterbacks to compete or fight it out, and that would be the way they go. If things don't go as well with Cam, obviously he was down in Miami earlier this week, then I think that they would bring DJ in. I don't know for certain that it's one or the other. I think they both really like both quarterbacks. I think that there is a chance they want to get them both on campus, see how they interact, see how visits go, and then make a decision. But to me, it feels like Cam Ward would be their first choice. I just mentioned he was down in Miami for a visit. A lot of Miami folks thought that they would be able to wrap that up and keep him from visiting Florida State in his exit interview with the Inside the U site with Gabby. He said, no, I'm going to Florida State. I'm going to visit there and at least listen to what they have to offer. Jesse Simonton of On3 put out an article this morning saying that Cam's smart decision would be to go to Florida State. I think we all understand that Mike Norvell has been really good with quarterbacks, did a great job with Jordan Travis, and quarterbacks under Mario certainly haven't progressed the way that most people would think that they should. Absolutely ruined a guy who many thought would be a first-round pick in Tyler Van Dyke, played him and continued to play him injured for a couple of seasons, and I just don't know that Cam Ward would benefit from playing under Mario Cristobal, who's just not a very good coach. I think he's a great recruiter. I don't think he's a very good coach, and so we'll see what that decision ends up being. I do want to hear you guys' thoughts. Do you think that Cam would fit a little bit better? Do you think DJ would fit a little bit better in this offense? Again, to me, I think I'd be pretty happy either way here. I do trust Norvell. I trust the evaluations that he does. I think there's a reason that Cam Ward is the number 1 overall quarterback and the number 2 player overall in the portal. And I think that his passing numbers kind of speak for themselves. I think DJ is very capable. I think he had a really good year at Washington State after really struggling at Clemson, kind of turned some things around. I would expect that he takes another step forward under Norvell. He ended up having a better passer rating than Jordan Travis did last season, albeit close, still was rated a little bit higher than JT13 was. And again, more durable, bigger, more physical back, I think would benefit from being in this Norvell offense. Again, let me know your thoughts. Are you all in on Cam? Are you all in on DJ? Do you think that Tate should be the guy? My one argument to that is I still like bringing a guy in and making Tate really compete for it in the offseason. I think that competition is healthy. I think that competition is good. I also like the idea that you're bringing in one-year guys. There's some questions around Murphy, the Texas transfer quarterback. I don't think you want a multi-year starter here. I don't think you want to upset the future of Brock Glenn, Luke Kromenhoek. I think you really like the idea of bringing in a one-year guy, raising the ceiling and the floor of your quarterback room, having Tate or whomever battle it out in the spring and in the fall. If Tate's able to elevate his game to beat one of those guys, shoot, you've got a great situation on your hands. Let me know in the comments what you think about the quarterback position in the portal. All right, this is one that you guys have been begging for years, really since he didn't sign with the Noles in 2021. I want to talk about MJJ, Marvin Jones Jr. I got some thoughts on this, see what you guys think about it. You may disagree with me. Most of the people in our Discord have, but before I do that, I want to give some love to Knapp Accident Injury. Told you guys about him all season, but Alex Knapp is a diehard Seminoles fan. He owns Knapp Accident Injury, which is a law firm that specializes in car accidents, Uber and Lyft accidents, personal injury, and more. I've said this all year. You may not need him today, but if you are hurt or injured in any type of an accident or know somebody who recently has been, let my guy Alex take care of you. He'll do free consultations. You also get his cell phone number if you're one of his clients. You're not dealing with a paralegal or some kind of a case manager. Lock his number in your phone. It's 813-568-3724. It's knappinjurylaw.com. Again, may not need him today, but if you do in the future, make sure to hit him up. We saw him in Orlando for the LSU game. He was all the way there supporting our Noles through to the ACC championship. Diehard Seminole fan, graduated from FSU Law. Make sure that you're supporting if you are in the need for an attorney because you've been injured in an accident, car accident, wherever. Appreciate Alex for all of his support. All right, Marvin Jones Jr. You guys have been begging for this kid since he signed with Georgia back in 2021. The number 13 overall player in the portal, an edge prospect, really talented from a physical standpoint, a really gifted athlete. You don't grow that kind of size and athleticism on trees. It was a quote directly from one of our Discord members, so I'll give a little credit there. But some questions around the production level. He was hurt much of his freshman year. Really kind of question whether or not he was being used properly at UGA. I think that this pickup, if the Noles are able to get it, which he's visiting this weekend, would be a good pickup that could turn into a great to elite pickup. I don't think it's an elite pickup off the bat. I think that Florida State would value this commitment. I think they value their legacy kids. I think that Marvin Jones Jr. has something left in the tank and can contribute and maybe take that next step. Florida State obviously does a really good job of development, but I don't think this is a Jared Verse type pickup or a Jermaine Johnson type pickup where you're just bringing in an absolute monster that can go off. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Gilbert Edmond pickup that you got from last year, who did some good things at times, but was really kind of a depth role piece for you. And I think that's what MJJ would be this year in 2024. But with that, could he be the guy or one of the big time guys for you in 2025? I'd love to be wrong on this, and I'd love to say that MJJ just goes completely bonkers and wins ACC Player of the Year next year defensively. I just don't know that that's realistic. I just don't know that that expectation is going to be placed on him. But in about a year and a half, can you develop him into being something really, really special for that last year, that senior year, where he does go off? Obviously, his dad is the greatest linebacker to ever play at Florida State. Shade Tree was phenomenal. You certainly want to honor your legacy, kids. And if MJJ has a good visit, I fully expect the Seminoles to offer here. It's been reported, and I've kind of been told the same thing. I don't expect this to be some crazy bidding NIL war. I think it was back when he signed with Georgia. It won't be this time. If he wants to be at Florida State has the room for him. They will take him, but I don't think the Noles are getting Jared Verse 2.0 yet. Hopefully, with the development that Florida State has, Coach Storms, the weight room, everything else, he could develop into that at some point. Not trying to be negative. I want the kid. I want the take. I just don't think it's Jared Verse 2.0 just yet. Now, where else could the Noles look to get a transfer? I think they certainly need to focus on that edge position. In addition to Marvin Jones Jr., you've had other guys visit. You've had other guys that you're looking to bring in. You've had other guys you've done in-home visits with. You've got linebacker, offensive line, defensive tackle, all positions that I think Florida State would certainly take someone at as well. I think if you found a stud at some other positions, just an absolute no-doubter at wide receiver, running back, cornerback, you could see them kind of delve into some of those positions, but I don't think that the focus is there. Tight end, kind of the same thing. I think they feel somewhat capable with the guys coming back at tight end. Obviously, your addition in Landon Thomas that's coming in, but if you found just a no-doubter, day one type draft picked guy that wanted to come, a Keon Coleman at one of those positions, you certainly would bring them in. What about guys leaving FSU? A lot of questions around DJ Lundy and Rodney Hill. We've kind of gone pretty deep into this in our Discord, which you can access through Patreon, patreon.com/DFNS. If you're not part of the Patreon or Discord just yet, you really should be. We do 4 or 5 videos a week, but I'm really in there answering questions all day from our members and try to give you guys as much insight as we can. It takes a lot less time and effort for me to just answer a quick question in the Discord than it does to put together an entire video, edit that, upload it, do a thumbnail, all those things. So I also almost made this like 3 videos. So if you're thankful that you didn't have to watch me do all of this in 3 different parts, I almost did a QB part, then the rest of the portal, then the Lundy Hill exiting guys video. If you're thankful that you didn't have to watch this 3 times, go join the Patreon at patreon.com/DFNS to be part of that exclusive inside info Discord. Okay, Lundy and Hill. Obviously, different things have been reported about both these guys. At the end of the day, I think both Lundy and Hill asked for pretty significant NIL increases, and Florida State just didn't value the position quite as much as maybe those kids value themselves. Numbers are what they are, but I'm told that both guys asked for more than the respective starters at those positions made last year. And I don't necessarily think that the NIL market is trending that way. I think it might even be tightening a little bit. It might be trending the other way. I think when NIL was first introduced, it was, man, let's spend as much money as we can every single place and try and bolster up this roster. And I think what NIL collectives and really folks all over the country are learning is that you don't have to pay a second, third, fourth string guy insane amounts of money to stick around on your roster. There are other players of similar talent levels to some of the guys who have entered or threatened entering the portal that you can find on a relatively low budget. And you don't have to go super cheap on things, but you also don't need to overspend just for the sake of overspending. A running back asking for more money than Trey Benson made, a linebacker who is a good player but not an elite player asking for more money than 15 or 4 made last year at the linebacking core, just is not something that Florida State's going to honor. And I don't think something that any team in the country would necessarily honor. Now, if those players can find that elsewhere, Absolutely. Go get it, because this might be their last chance to make a lot of money playing college football. I heard Bud Elliott talk about that on the Nolecast the last couple of days. Go get it. But as you saw with Patrick Payton, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. He threatened to leave, obviously was asking for a ridiculous amount of money, and found out that pretty quickly he could not get that. Now, as far as I'm aware, recording this around noon, neither Hill or Lundy have actually entered the transfer portal. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sure you guys will light me up in the comments. But as far as I know, I don't believe either of them are actually in the portal. Now, it does take a little bit of time. It's not just an immediate thing. It takes some time for your name to process and the paperwork to be filed for you to actually get in there. A lot of times guys will have conversations. They'll talk with other teams. They'll talk with other collectives, realize that they just can't get that money back that they're looking, get that money or that amount that they're looking for anywhere. And they end up withdrawing their name or never end up putting their name in, and they end up deleting the tweet like Peyton did. Will that happen with Lundy and Hill? I'm not 100% sure. I think that, if the relationship is still good and they want to come back and everybody can kind of agree to terms, I wouldn't be surprised with seeing both or either of those guys back. If the relationship sours or if things happen that kind of make the situation kind of untenable, I also wouldn't be surprised seeing them go on. I don't think Florida State is, freaking out about either one of these losses. I do think linebacker depth is something that they need to address, and the recruiting there has not been as good as it probably should have been. I don't love the linebackers in the portal right now, but we'll see if anybody else jumps in that Florida State can kind of make a play at. Running back worries me much less. I think you've recruited that position extremely well. I think you've got a lot of talented and capable guys there in your running back room. So the Hill departure certainly worries me less than Lundy. We'll kind of see what ends up happening there with both of those guys. I don't think that we're done seeing that. I don't think we're done seeing guys enter. We actually mentioned Lundy to our Discord like 2 weeks ago when the Peyton stuff was going on. So about a week and a half ago when the Peyton stuff was going on. Again, just another reason to join patreon.com/DFNS. And again, I said this last week, but if you're giving to the battle's end, you ought to be thankful that they're not honoring just insane requests, that they are using their money somewhat smartly. They're using their money somewhat wisely. And, they're the adult in the room with a bunch of kids that maybe feel entitled, maybe feel like they deserve more, should earn more, whatever. If you're giving to the battle's end, be thankful that they're not just signing checks left and right like nobody's business and giving away the farm, if you will. If you're not signed up for the battle's end, we would encourage you to go do that right now. Let's get that number up over 5,500, which is the goal, with about a week and a half to go until that goal time is up. Signing day, less than a week away. We certainly will talk recruiting down through the last couple of days. Some questions around guys that are maybe flipping away, maybe flipping to. We'll talk all about that very soon. We'll do a signing day preview before we get to it, of course. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Let me know what thoughts and comments you have on those two quarterbacks again down there below. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Go Noles.